All right, so today we're doing a deep dive into the career of someone who's making waves in cancer research.
Yep, Dr. Chiao-En Wu.
Exactly.
Yeah,
We've got his CV in front of us, and wow, there's a lot to unpack here.
Oh, yeah. His list of accomplishments is seriously impressive.
For sure. But it's not just the quantity, it's also the sheer variety that's really striking. He's worked on so many different types of cancer, like from gastrointestinal to melanoma to lung, even thyroid cancer.
Oh, absolutely. And he's explored all sorts of different treatment approaches, too.
Right.
So where do we even begin with someone like this?
Well, let's start at the beginning. Dr. Wu was born in Taipei County back in 1981.
Okay.
But here's the thing that immediately jumped out at me when I first saw his CV. He got a double degree.
Oh.
From Chenggang University.
Okay.
In both Chinese medicine and Western medicine.
Wow. That's not something you see every day.
No, not at all. How often do you find someone who's deeply versed in both ancient healing traditions and modern medical science?
It's pretty rare, I'd say. You have to wonder, how does that kind of dual perspective, that understanding of both worlds, how does that shape his approach to cancer research?
Yeah, that's a great question. It makes you think he might approach problems in a totally different way than someone who's only trained in one or the other. Like, maybe he sees connections that others just wouldn't.
Right. Seeing the whole picture.
Exactly. Okay, so after his double degree, he went on to do his residency and fellowship at Changgung Memorial Hospital, also known as CGMH. And that's where his focus on cancer really took off, specializing in internal medicine and medical oncology.
Yeah, CGMH is a leading hospital in Taiwan. So right from the start, he was training in a really high-caliber environment.
Absolutely. But then get this.
Yeah.
He doesn't just stay in Taiwan.
No.
He actually goes to the UK to get his PhD.
Interesting. Where did he go in the UK?
To the Northern Institute for Cancer Research at Newcastle University.
Oh, wow. That's a renowned institution. So clearly he was seeking out the best of the best, no matter where it was in the world.
Exactly. I mean, he already had top-notch training in Taiwan, but he still went to the UK to further his education.
It makes you wonder, was there a specific research area or a particular mentor that drew him there?
It does make you think. And it probably exposed him to a whole different research culture and new ways of thinking about problems.
For sure. Okay, so after the UK, he comes back to Taiwan.
Okay.
And starts working at Changgung.
Right.
And he pretty quickly climbs the ranks there, going from lecturer to associate professor to full professor.
That's quite a trajectory. It usually takes a lot longer to reach the level of professor, especially at such a respected institution.
Right. It really shows that his work was making a big impact right from the get-go.
Definitely. His research must have been turning heads.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So he stays at Changgung.
Actually, no. Eventually, he moves on to a professorship at New Taipei Municipal Tuchang Hospital.
Oh, okay. So another prestigious position. It seems like he's always aiming higher and higher. Absolutely. And you know what's even more impressive is that his work isn't just limited to one hospital. He's board certified in both internal medicine and medical oncology.
Wow. That's quite the double whammy. It's a testament to his broad expertise.
Right. But wait, there's more.
More.
He's also super active in tons of professional organizations. We're talking about the big leagues here, like the British Association for Cancer Research and the American Association for Cancer Research.
Oh, wow. Those aren't just social clubs. Those are organizations that are really leading the charge in the global fight against cancer.
Exactly. So being an active member of those groups means he's not just keeping up with the latest research, but actually contributing to it and collaborating with other top minds in the field.
Yeah, it's like he's building a global network dedicated to tackling cancer from all angles.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Speaking of tackling it from all angles, we should talk about his research interests. I mean, they're incredibly diverse. He's into molecular biology, specifically the role of the p53 gene, which we know plays a huge part in how cancer develops.
Right, the p53 gene is like a guardian of the genome, protecting our cells from becoming cancerous.
Exactly, but, and this is the really cool part, his research doesn't just stop at the molecular level. He also works on a whole range of different types of cancers.
It's pretty amazing, honestly. Most researchers tend to stick to one specific area, but Dr. Wu seems driven to understand the complexities of cancer from all these different perspectives.
Absolutely. It makes you wonder if there's a common thread that ties all these diverse areas together. Like, what's the ultimate goal driving all this research?
Yeah, what's the big picture here?
Right. To answer that, I think we need to look at some of his actual research projects.
I'm all for it. Let's dive into the specifics.
Okay, so just glancing at the titles of his projects, you can already tell that they're pretty fascinating.
Oh, bet.
Like, one that caught my eye is, let me find it.
Okay.
Yes. A study of matrix glab protein in acrolentiginous melanoma.
Okay, so we know melanoma is a serious type of skin cancer, but what exactly is acrolentiginous melanoma?
Well, it's a rare and aggressive subtype of melanoma that usually shows up on the palms of the hands, the soles of the feet, or even under the nails.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And because of where it appears, it often gets diagnosed later than other melanomas, which makes it much harder to treat effectively.
So right off the bat, we're seeing Dr. Wu tackling a particularly challenging form of cancer. It speaks volumes about his dedication to finding solutions for patients who might have limited options.
Absolutely. Okay, here's another one with a really intriguing title. To explore biomarkers for non-genotoxic activation of P53 by MDM2 inhibitors in biliary tract cancer.
Whoa, that's a mouthful.
I know, right? But it gets right to the heart of what's so exciting about cancer research today. It's all about finding ways to target cancer cells specifically without harming healthy cells in the process.
Right. Minimizing those nasty side effects that come with traditional treatments like chemo.
Exactly.
So how does this project with the long title fit into that?
Well, okay, so remember how we said the P53 gene is like a guardian, protecting us from cancer?
Yeah, it's like the cell's emergency brake.
Exactly. But in lots of different cancers, that P53 gene is mutated. So it's like the emergency brake is broken and the cell can just keep dividing uncontrollably.
Makes sense. So how do we fix the brake?
Well, that's where MDM2 comes in. MDM2 is a protein that regulates P53. Think of it like an on-off switch for the P53 gene.
Okay, got it.
Now, in cancer cells, MDM2 is often stuck in the off position, so P53 can't do its job. What Dr. Wu is exploring are these things called MDM2 inhibitors.
MDM2 inhibitors.
Yeah. Basically, they're drugs that can flip that switch back on so that P53 can start working again.
Oh, I see. So it's about finding ways to reawaken the body's own natural defenses against cancer.
Exactly. Pretty ingenious.
Very clever. Makes you wonder what other tricks he has up his sleeve.
Right. And you know what? I've got one more project title that I think our listeners will appreciate, especially if they've ever personally gone through cancer treatment.
Oh, I'm intrigued.
All right. It's called Investigation of the Role of Zinc Levels in Multi-Targeted Kinase Inhibitor-Induced Hand-Foot Skin Reaction.
Okay, so hand-foot skin reaction. That sounds kind of familiar.
Yeah, well, as a common side effect of certain cancer drugs, basically it causes redness, swelling, and pain on the palms of the hands and the soles of the feet. It can be really debilitating and make it hard for patients to go about their daily lives.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that. It can really impact a patient's quality of life, even if the treatment itself is working.
Exactly. So it's great to see that Dr. Wu isn't just focused on killing cancer cells. He's also thinking about how to improve the actual experience of patients going through treatment.
Yeah, that's really important. It shows a genuine dedication to the whole person, not just the disease.
Absolutely. And remember, these are just a tiny handful of his research projects. We've barely scratched the surface here.
Right. It makes you wonder what overarching themes or goals connect all of these different projects. What is Dr. Wu ultimately trying to achieve with his research?
I think to answer that, we need to delve even deeper. We need to look at some of his most impactful publications, the ones that really made a splash in the oncology world.
Yeah, let's move from the what to the so what. What are the real-world implications of all this research? What kind of impact is it having on how we understand and treat cancer?
Exactly. And remember how we talked about his dual expertise in Eastern and Western medicine?
Oh, yeah. The unique blend of knowledge.
I have a feeling that's going to play a big role in answering these questions.
It's got to be connected somehow.
Right. But I think we should save that for part 2 of our deep dive.
Oh, you're going to leave us hanging like that.
Got to keep you coming back for more.
All right, fine. But I'm holding you to it. We're diving into that Eastern-Western connection next time. So we've established that Dr. Wu is super productive, he's ambitious, and tackles a wide range of cancers. But, how does his research actually help patients, you know? Does it translate to better treatments or better outcomes for them? I think that's what really matters in the end.
I totally agree. We need to go beyond just listing his accomplishments and actually look at the substance of his work. And I think a good place to start would be his publications on melanoma treatments, especially the ones that focus on immune checkpoint inhibitors. Those are a really hot topic in oncology right now, and it seems like Dr. Wu is right at the forefront of that research.
Oh yeah, immune checkpoint inhibitors are pretty revolutionary. For anyone who might not know, they're a type of cancer therapy that basically takes the brakes off the immune system. So it allows the immune system to attack those cancer cells more aggressively.
It's like giving the body's own natural defenses a super boost to fight the cancer. And Dr. Wu's research is really helping us understand how to use these powerful tools effectively.
Do you have a specific example?
Yeah. For instance, in 2020, he co-authored a paper called Immune Checkpoint Inhibitors for Advanced Melanoma, experienced at a single institution in Taiwan. And that study was really important because it gave us real-world data on how these drugs were working in a Taiwanese population. It wasn't just a clinical trial. They were analyzing the outcomes of actual patients and trying to find biomarkers that could predict who might respond best to that kind of treatment.
So it's about making treatments more personalized. Figuring out which patients will really benefit from this type of therapy, that's a huge step forward.
It is. And he didn't stop there. He also led a team that investigated the link between immune-related adverse events and survival outcomes in Asian patients with advanced melanoma who were on anti-PD-1 antibodies.
So that's crucial because even though these checkpoint inhibitors can be super effective, they can also have some pretty serious side effects, right?
Exactly. So understanding that relationship between the side effects and how those patients ultimately do is critical for making good treatment decisions. It's all about weighing the risks and benefits and making sure patients are getting the best possible care.
It's finding that sweet spot, getting the benefits while minimizing the downsides as much as possible.
For sure.
Okay, so shifting gears a bit.
Okay.
You remember those circulating tumor cells, or CTCs, we talked about earlier?
Oh, yeah, the little messengers floating around in the bloodstream. They can give us clues about how a cancer is going to behave, like tiny spies inside the tumor.
Exactly. And Dr. Wu has done some really cool work in this area. In 2016, he co-authored a paper called Circulating Tumor Cells as an Independent Prognostic Factor in Patients with Advanced Esophageal Squamous Cell Carcinoma Undergoing Chemoradiotherapy.
Oh, yeah. Esophageal cancer is a tough one. It's often caught late, and treatment can be really, really challenging. So having any tool that helps us predict how those patients are going to respond to therapy is super valuable.
Absolutely. And that's what they did in this study. They actually found that having those CTCs in the blood of these patients was a really strong predictor of how well they responded to treatment and how long they survived.
That's amazing. It's like having a crystal ball, but a scientific one.
Right. And this kind of information could help doctors make better decisions about how aggressive a patient's treatment should be.
Like whether they might need more intense therapies or maybe even if they'd be a good candidate for certain clinical trials. It's all about moving toward that personalized approach to cancer care.
Definitely. And he's not just focused on esophageal cancer either. He also collaborated on a 2018 study that looked at CTCs in patients with metastatic colorectal cancer. They actually developed a model based on those CTCs that could pinpoint the patients who had the worst survival outcomes.
It's kind of a double-edged sword, right? On the one hand, you're getting this information that could help some patients. But on the other hand, it also means identifying those who might need additional support or maybe even palliative care. It's a sensitive topic, but it's important for giving everyone the best quality of life possible, no matter what their prognosis is.
I agree. It's a reminder that research isn't just about finding cures. It's about improving the whole journey for cancer patients, from diagnosis to treatment to long-term care.
I think Dr. Wu's work really embodies that idea. And we haven't even touched on all of it. Like we haven't discussed his research on the p53 gene or his work with gastrointestinal cancers or even his most recent publications. It seems like the man never stops.
He's a machine. But as we learn more about all this work he's doing, the question that keeps popping up for me is, how does his background in both Eastern and Western medicine actually play a role in his research? We keep coming back to this idea, but I'd love to see some concrete examples of how these two worlds might be coming together in his work.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I keep wanting to pull on that thread and see what unravels. I think to really get to the bottom of this, we need to dig into some specific examples from his publications. We need to look for those subtle, maybe even profound ways in which his knowledge of Chinese medicine might be shaping how he approaches modern oncology.
Ooh, now that's what I call a cliffhanger. I'm really excited to see where this deep dive takes us next.
Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground in our deep dive into Dr. Wu's career, right?
Yeah.
From those unique dual degrees he has to that super cool research he's doing on melanoma and circulating tumor cells.
Right.
It's pretty clear that he's a major player in the world of oncology.
Oh, absolutely. He's definitely pushing the boundaries of cancer research. But I still keep thinking about that question we had earlier, you know?
Oh, about how his background in both Eastern and Western medicine actually influences his work.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's the piece of the puzzle that's still missing for me.
You're right. We've hinted at it throughout our whole conversation, but it's time to actually connect the dots now. We need to find some real, concrete examples of how those two worlds, those two approaches, might be coming together in his work.
Like, imagine if he starts this huge research project that actually bridges the gap between traditional Chinese medicine and modern cancer therapies.
Wow, that would be incredible.
Right. He could look into how herbal remedies and conventional chemotherapy work together.
Oh, yeah, the synergistic effects.
Exactly. Or maybe he could explore how things like acupuncture or Tai Chi could help improve the quality of life for cancer patients who are going through treatment.
It's like opening up this whole treasure chest of untapped potential.
Right. And you know what? He's in a perfect position to be a pioneer in this area. He could lead to totally new ways of thinking about how we prevent and treat cancer. Like, it's combining ancient wisdom with cutting-edge science.
It's really mind-blowing when you think about it. And speaking of the future, what if Dr. Wu decides to focus his energy on nanotechnology and how it can be used in cancer treatment?
Oh, now that's a fascinating thought. Using those tiny, tiny nanoparticles to deliver drugs directly to the cancer cells.
Yeah, so you can minimize the side effects and really maximize how well the treatment works. It's like something out of science fiction almost.
It is.
Like, what if he starts developing these super targeted nanoparticles that can recognize and destroy cancer cells without harming the healthy ones? Or what if he creates these nanoscale sensors that can detect cancer super early when it's still easy to treat?
Oh, the possibilities are endless, really. It makes you wonder what other amazing ideas he has up his sleeve.
I know, right? So as we wrap up our deep dive into Dr. Wu's career, I want to bring it back to our listener for a second.
Okay, good idea.
We've talked about his accomplishments, his research, and we've even speculated a little bit about what groundbreaking discoveries he might make in the future.
It's been quite a journey.
It has. We've seen how he's pushing the boundaries of oncology by combining his knowledge of both Eastern and Western medicine. So, I want to leave you with this question. What groundbreaking discovery or advancement do you think Dr. Wu will achieve next? Like, what direction do you see his research taking? We encourage you to explore his work further, see what you discover, and maybe you'll find the answer to that question yourself. You can find links to his publications in the show notes. Until next time, keep diving deep.